There you go. Thanks, KT.
Hmm.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to beautiful month of August, which is a little wild to think that that's where we are, but holy bananagrams, that's where we are right now. So we'll enjoy the pure chaos known as um, August. I don't know what happened. So for those of you who don't know, I actually ref soccer because I can't seem to not do anything fun. Um, and all of a sudden, I looked at my calendar and I have been requested. They call it a signing, is what they call it. I've been assigned. So this is my celebration. You can chat me, or I'd love you to share yours too. But so I was going through this and I had to smile because all of a sudden now I am the guy who's being assigned games that are what are considered the problem games. I don't know if you know this about high school sports, specifically boys. High school boys are incredibly dumb and I love them dearly, but they're so dumb and so competitive that sometimes they make terrible decisions. So one of the things that we try to do is walk through this whole situation and say, "Hey, it's okay, but now I'm assigned to referee the problem games because apparently that's what you do." So that's my new celebration. Is that now I've become the problem solver in or one of the problem solvers, not the one of the problem solvers for high school soccer. So that's really fun. So I've been asked to like drive from Fergus to Wilmer to St. Cloud all over. And I kind of said, no, thanks. I'll referee in a very small circle. Thank you so very much. But so that's my celebration today as we enter August because holy buckets, school is going to start in no time. So there's mine. Who else has something fun for us to share? I'm going to stop sharing so we can see everybody. Who else has a celebration they're willing to share with us today?
I do, actually. Do you remember that yellow house that I had on the market 2 years ago that didn't sell? And I put it
Mm-hmm.
back on this year on Pinewood. We have a we have a purchase agreement under contract now and ready to close at the end of the month. So yay.
That is
So
phenomenal.
yeah,
Um,
excited about that.
Golly, that was such a cool house too. The only thing I didn't like was all the stairs at the front. That was my big like. I don't know about that one. So,
Yeah,
congrats though. That's a huge one. Faith
thank you.
says windows are open for the first time in weeks, and it feels like fall. That's exciting. I Barb hates it. That's fine. I came down this morning and I was doing some laundry this morning, and then all of a sudden I come back and two of my kids open the windows, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "It's chilly out, and I want a blanket." And I'm like, okay, we've crossed over because it felt like, all weekend they're like, can we go to the beach? I'm like, oh boy. So I don't know. Kids are weird, which is totally fine. So anyway, who else has something exciting? I can do this all day, folks.
And
Okay.
share,
Lauren.
remember, in my other team, the other meeting that I attend, that the wild rose, it went expired, and then I did that protection list thingy I've never
Mhm.
done in my life, but I was kind of mad about that one because I tried so hard and spent a lot of money.
You did.
But anyways, yeah, it finally came to fruition, and that seller called me back and said, "Hey, one of your buyers approached me with my for sale by owner sign." And they want to put a purchase agreement. So not only did I get the sell side because of that little contracty thing, or whatever you want to call it, protection list, I also got the buy side. So that was
That's
my win.
an
Yep.
excellent testimony to the fact that that's a reason you do that list, right? And
Yes.
you keep it handy.
So yeah.
Some people feel dirty about submitting that list. Like I've had agents tell me, like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel right. And I'm like, it's literally in the contract that you agree to this list, right? And I'm actually really proud of agents, and this is something that I do as an educator in our space. So if you maybe get one of those emails from agents and they're saying, "Hey, we're going to pull this property off the list. Just wondering if you wanted me to add any buyers to the protected list."
So
Right? And I'm like,
back up for a quick second. Like, you want to go over the protective list for any of our new agents?
oh,
Um,
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
Yes, we absolutely can. So in the Minnesota contract, I'm not sure about the North Dakota one. I would have to look, and I'm so sorry. Any of our North Dakota agents, feel free to correct me here. In the Minnesota contract, there is a protected list. Um, And the protected list basically states that at the end of the contract or upon termination, you have the right to provide the seller a list of potential buyers who would be basically excluded or protected. It's protecting your commission and your services for the transaction. So in the event of, you would hand them a list and it says, Brandon Johnson from Alexandria. Usually I like to add the city and state, as much information as you can. Or, Darren and Ashley Nelson from Sauk Center. And you could hand on a list, deliver that in electronic means to the seller. And in the event, so then you have that time period, right? No more than 6 months. You have that time period in which it says, hey, if somebody on this list, our protected list that I've given you, comes back and says they want to buy it, like Ashley just shared, you are now due your compensation from the listing side, right? Ashley's getting a bonus because the Lord's blessing her with all her work and effort and saying, hey, this is, here's your buyer enjoying this too. But the other side of it is to say, like, at least you're protecting your listing side because that buyer came to fruition due to your efforts on securing that property, most likely, right? That's why you're wanting to do that. So when agents reach out and they're openly saying, hey, do you have anybody you want me to add? I'm like, hey, kudos to you and actually doing your job and protecting your investment, because now as the market has shifted and we're adjusting, you're getting more and more opportunities where properties aren't selling. And clients think it's still, 2021 where everything should sell in 5 minutes for $50,000 over, list. And it's like, well, that ain't the market anymore, right? We talk about stats. We're going to talk about them today. We talk about market trends. That's not what we're doing today. So it's all of those kind of things that kind of come into play, right? And that's the change of pace and how we start to move through things. So it is an important piece of information that I think you really want to be aware of. So that's the protected list. You do have to deliver it before termination, and so you want to make sure that you get that done, and then your time frame is protected in that space, which is really great. So that's really good. Anyway,
Just
kudos.
a note on that too. The list doesn't have to be complete. It doesn't have to be all of the buyers who saw the property during the time that you had it listed. It can be just the ones that you showed the property to. Or if you reach out to other agents who did show the property, it can be just theirs as well.
Okay. All right, super cool, you guys. Okay. Chris, you're getting a new siding. That's so exciting. Please tell me you're paying somebody to put it on. Oh, you're on mute. I have no idea. You're sort of nodding your head. Okay. That's good.
Yes, otherwise it would never get done. Yes.
That was my working theory. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I love your hubby. Great man. That makes me a little nervous. Okay. Darcy, we had an amazing month. We had a killer month end, you guys, which we're very proud of. And so hopefully I'm excited. August usually is one of our best months, and it's looking pretty solid. So we're really excited about that. So kudos to all of you as well. So, all right. Let me jump back in here. Okay. So here is some of the fun things that we're going to talk about today. We want to first continue the celebration style of dealing with our IPA winners. This comes down to, again, our Impact Performance Award, right? So this is going to be everybody that is reaching 7 of our big milestones throughout the month. And congrats to Barb. I see you on the call. Let's see here. Vern, you're on. Tom, congratulations. Let's see here. Ashley and everybody else that I maybe missed. I'm sorry. I'm just skimming through the participants in the room. So this is a really neat way. Again, we go from listings, buyer rep agreements, purchase agreements, closings, community impact. Help me out.
Referral.
Is that the 6? That's the 6. Okay. So any of those that you get, you make sure you turn into your office administrator, and we help make sure that all that gets handled and taken care of. So, which is great. The one thing we want to make note of, because month end was kind of chaotic, right? Depending upon where that comes into play. I don't think we missed anybody from the IPA. But if you feel as though we did, please come yell at me, because it's probably my fault and I will do my best to make that up to you. But I wanted to at least let you know that's where we are. We also want to celebrate some birthdays. this month. Happy birthday to Logan, who's actually in Germany. He's not going to be on the call today because, like all of us, we start a new business in real estate and then we leave for a month. So, congratulations to Logan. Marv, coming up here. We kind of have nobody on the front side of the month. I just realized. Okay, Danny and then Sean, who share a birthday. That's so fun, and our very own Darcy at the end of the month. So, happy birthday, y'all! It'll be a great time and some fun celebrations. One of the things we want to remind you of, so this has been a request from the agents and something that we have done. We are holding on Mondays a weekly huddle. This is designed really for an opportunity for you to kind of come in and check in. These are like 15 minute things. It's a quick Google Meet. A lot of us join it from our cars in full transparency, except for Katie, who's responsible and shows up to the office early to make the call. So I appreciate that. But the rest of us show up in our cars and it's totally fine. It's a really quick, hey, what's going on? What did you get stuck with? And it's cross office. So it's an incredible piece here. One of the things I want to make sure of is I misread Katie's emails, so I'm going to share with you. The email is not to say we are done with the huddles, because when I read it, I was like, Katie, are we all done? I thought we were going to keep doing this, and she goes, no, I'm just not going to send you emails every Monday. And I said, yeah, that makes sense. So the huddle will continue. I would love for you to join on. If you need the invite, Katie, do you own that invite? I'm sorry.
I do own that invite, and it's on your Google Calendar. And actually, at our huddle yesterday, the agents did ask that I continue sending the messages on Monday. So if you hate getting a million emails from me, I'm sorry, you're going to be getting an email every Monday from me. But it'll have the link right in there for you to join the huddle. And like Brandon said, it's 15, 20 minutes, and just a quick get together so that you can get your brain ready for the week.
Fantastic things. So come hang out with us. It's really quick, really simple. And honestly, these are opportunities where we're hearing like what's going on in your business, which then helps us decide on the trainings and the mastermind topics and some of those other things too. So not that you can't, come at me and just be like, hey, can we do a training on this? And the answer will most likely be absolutely, let's do it. Because if you're thinking it, somebody else is. Okay. So never fear that is always an opportunity that we can continue to move forward on. Now, there were some fun things that happened with our friends at North Star. Hopefully, you guys had a great conversation with them or not. I know Chris attended the training and had great things to share with our Crosby team on that. If you want to rewatch it, you can go to that link right over there. You can scan that QR code and it will take care of you. The one thing that you need to understand, though, so waterfront is really the big issue, and it's making sure that your waterfront listings are showing up. We've been working through this for a while. I've shared with you how we found some issues, how I've yelled at North Star, how I actually think we should no longer be a part of North Star and we should pull back because they're not suiting our business models up here in Greater Minnesota. But nevertheless, we're still doing our things. At the end of the day, the sentiment is true in that space. So if you haven't watched the update, you should. The other thing we did is Katie took the trainings and some of the updated rules and regs, and we had Remy learn it as well. So if you're stuck and you don't want to read the big rules and regs doc from North Star, but you have a specific question, you can go to Remy and ask it, and it will search the updates and the actual database file of the full rules and regs document and hopefully give you the right answer. I say hopefully because Remy is still a computer, and although he is very cute and friendly, he can make mistakes. So we don't trust all things computers most days. Some days we do, but not today. So there you go. Anything else on this?
Now, Chris, was there anything specific that you didn't know about that you think everybody else should know about?
No.
No.
No, it was just a good reminder just about pendings and about timelines. If you got if you're not going to show it quite yet, if you've got it coming soon, what you can and can't do. Just a really good base reminder for dates too, if you do withheld. And yeah, so I would recommend anybody just to kind of skim over and watch it.
Perfect.
Love it. Yeah, it's the timeline stuff is something we're finding more and more issues on, friends. So we're learning through that, but it's okay. Here, now, everybody's favorite time of month. Who knows what happens in August, by the way?
forms change.
Boo, but Christine's exactly right because I love you dearly. New forms, my friends. So we have the privilege of getting to talk through Forms Day. Now, there are not many big changes this year, which is good. The big thing to recognize, Terry, wow, that's a legit phone. I love it. When we talk about forms and everything, if you want a more in-depth training or more questions, please just ask and say, hey, can we do a full training on forms? Absolutely, we can walk through all of these updates in grave detail. But we don't have to because there's not that much going on this year. So I'm going to walk you through some of the minor changes, see where we land, and then we'll kind of work through the rest of the day here. So here's the big things that have sort of started inside of this space. So there's been a couple of small changes. The amendment form to listing contract buyer rep on the facilitator side, the sale of buyer's property contingency, final acceptance was added to this, it came out of a question on how we handle the timelines is really what it came down to. And so they added final acceptance to this in order to continue to build off of that, which is fine. Listing contract by rep, and the facilitated agreement on the listing, or sorry, this has to do with updated IDX language in there. It's very basic, doesn't really affect you. It's syntax really. Now, the one thing you want to make sure that you take a look at here is your personal templates, right? So every office has templates that are set up for you in Transaction Desk, right? The OAs do a great job of making sure that those are updated and maintained. We pull out forms, add new ones, so that when you're creating a transaction, you can just select the template and 8 million forms populate so you don't have to continue to click. Some of you like to go and create your own personal templates, which is totally fine. Just make sure that the 2024 or 2025 forms are removed and you're adding them now with the new 2025 ones. So that's just kind of the big reminder, like if you're doing personal templates, make sure. Okay. So other minor things here. Okay. Yes, Barb Doll, I see you.
When you said it was the final date added to the sale of buyer's property, where is that is that a second final date? Because the final date would be on the purchase agreement, wouldn't it?
So,
Or count,
Go ahead, Katie. I'm going to try to pull it up here.
No, so that's fine. So they added final acceptance date to how many days the buyer has to get their property listed. So in that contingency part, it says the buyer's going to list their property with this company in so many days, but there was never any determination between when those days start. And so I think we all assumed that it was final acceptance, that it'll be 3 days or 5 days after final acceptance, but the state has just clarified that now. And actually put that those days are based off the final acceptance date of the purchase agreement.
Okay,
so it's not,
got it.
yeah. So it's not another place to put the final acceptance date. It just helps with that timing piece.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Wow, this is like the new Lone Wolf Transactionist platform, they want it to be awesome, and my old soul is just not having it.
He's
please quit
talking,
doing this.
right? He's talking about Transact, just so everybody knows which Lone Wolf is trying to push everybody to. Christine has done lots of trainings on it, and it's not as intuitive as the other one, is what I'm finding.
It's not.
Just a reminder, we'll do trainings on it this fall once everybody's business slows down a little bit and we can actually dive into it. So it's coming.
Of buyer's property. Okay. See, I'm getting there. 26 form. Here we go. 8 million.
Hey, Katie.
Yes.
Is there a final date that they're going to shut that off and make us go to that new one?
They do not have a final date yet. Yes, there will be a sunset date at some point. They have not put one in yet. And so it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years. Okay. We don't know, which is why we want to get ahead of it and get everybody switched over and trained during the fall and the winter when everybody's business is slower, so that we're ready. But no, they have not put a sunset date on Transaction Desk yet.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. So here's what we mean by this. Right there. right? So a buyer's property is currently listed, will be listed within 19 days of final acceptance with so and so and so and so. So that's the basis of it. So what's funny to your point, Barb, is that yes, this is exactly it's what it means, but this is just tells you that in our world we have to play to the lowest common denominator, and this is one of those situations because while yes, it clearly states on page 12 of the PA, all timelines are based upon final acceptance. Some agents just can't wrap their head around it. And so, because we're entering a different market space, we have to play to our lowest common denominator. I actually pushed back on this one with the forms in our legal team because I said, this is literally making us dumber, you guys. Like, if somebody can't read the contract and understand how an amendment and an addendum come together, like, we got bigger problems. And I was voted down in the forms conversation, but it's fine. I'm not bitter about it at
that
all.
form doesn't say whether it's business or calendar days.
Mhm.
Oh,
It
okay,
does not.
Christine.
So it automatically defaults to calendar days.
Okay.
Yeah, just if it
I
does not
love it.
say business
That's what
or
I thought, but
calendar.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But you're right. Good call out. Here's the
uh,
other piece that I have always had a question on whether or not listing the property with that other brokerage in a withheld satisfies that contingency because it doesn't say it. So it doesn't say, so I would assume it is. It is listed.
You just opened
Um,
a can of worms.
I did.
bring
You're
it on.
welcome.
Let's do it.
Go get them, Brandon.
I love forums. It's the best because it's people are so silly. I'm gonna pull this up here, Christine. I just need a second to get there. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my
Yay for forms. Mm.
uh,
It's very fun. If you guys ever go to the forms meeting that the state has in July, which they had 2 weeks ago, it's open to anybody. Anybody can go and the lawyers just go over the changes. But the questions that agents ask in there are they seem insane. Um, because
oh gosh.
they should be common knowledge, especially if you're licensed. And they're not, apparently. That's fine.
You would love to think that people are smarter than they are, but here we go.
Mhm.
So here's what I want to tell you right here. So calendar days. This is a great question, Christine, because literally somebody just asked me this like 4 days ago, and I shared this exact same screenshot with them. So calendar days, including Saturday, Sunday, state, federal holidays, for the purposes of this agreement, which means anything attached to it, addendums, amendments, anything in the holy space known as a purchase agreement. Any reference to days means calendar days unless otherwise required by law or specified, right? So you can call out business days. And we're actually in the middle of trying to get out of using business days, but that primarily lives inside of the financing contingency because the forms committee, and I kind of agree, but again, I think it could be addressed by smarter agents. You financing contingencies can't happen on federal holidays, Saturdays, or Sundays, right? But to me, I'm like, yeah, but an agent could just look forward and add days to whatever they need on the financing timeframes. But nevertheless, we play to the lowest common denominators. So, Christine, you prompted me well, and I appreciate you very much. Yes, when it doesn't specify business days, the agreement by definition will default to calendar days. So, aren't we just having fun today? Okay. I love the can of worms that we're opening up here. Okay, let's try to do this in a more meaningful way again. Okay, now this is another great spot to have this conversation. Subsurface treatment system and the well water inspection. So the septic and well inspection, there was a small change, basically to provide clarity, because when we say well inspection, apparently it wasn't clear that we're testing the water that's coming through the well. Apparently we were thinking we were testing the mechanisms of the well. So we had to add water to the inspection in order to clarify the fact that no, we're actually testing for potability. So I'm just waiting for the time when it's going to say potable well water inspection, but give it a couple of years and I'm sure we'll add another dumb word in there. But for now, this is what it is and it's fine. Other forms are all affected, including all the PAs. It's just a language update, doesn't change anything else inside of that space. This one is meaningful to us in a small capacity. It's not a big one. It's very minor. This is the CIC forms. This basically, because of some new updates at the state level, we have to add a list, some items to the required documents, such as maintenance plan, schedule, and budget. This primarily comes in larger associations that have maintained parks, beaches, boathouses, roads, any of those kind
Pools.
of items, pools, thank you, right? Any of those kind of things that come into play, we have to have a conversation on how it's getting maintained. Because we have a couple right now that, associations that have pools that don't function and people are mad, right? So it's like, yeah, okay. So we talked through that. So that small change is going to affect basically any of the additional forms for the CIC, the resale disclosure, the waiver, the receipt of the documents, and of course the addendum to the PA. This law goes into effect on January 1, okay? But we're going to update our forms that just to reflect it. So just know that this is this is coming as a result of state law, which basically just says, hey, we have shared assets. We need to understand how these things are being shared. Some people would say, well, it's coming in as an assessment, which is fine. But if the buyer doesn't understand what the assessment was for or the future plan, paving is becoming a really big one, as people are saying, hey, we're going to seal top every 3 years because of the amount of traffic we get through here just to protect our roads. Okay, well, if you're getting assessed every 3 years, which really isn't an assessment, but let's just assume that they is because nobody calls it the right thing, then they have the opportunity to pull that back, right? So it's being disclosed so the buyer has full context and clarity on what's moving forward. So that's that. Note number 2, the 10-day count. We've had some issues with this one, so I want to reiterate this. The 10-day rule, okay? If you are unaware, which I know you're not, but I'm going to just, for the sake of the masses, if you're unaware, Minnesota statute requires that there's a 10-day right of rescission, okay? This 10-day thing doesn't start on final acceptance. It starts at the receipt of the documents, okay? Hence why the CIC receipt is incredibly important and needs to be turned in so that we're all on the same page of what day this thing starts. And also remember, because it states in the PA, your timelines don't start the day it was received. It starts the next day, right? So if you deliver it today, the clock doesn't start until tomorrow, right? So you want to build that in. And remember, a buyer can back out at any point within that 10-day period and not lose their earnest money. So if you delay, let's say you get through an inspection and you're fine and you still don't have that receipt of the documents, statutorily the buyer can back out and get their earnest money back. And a seller will be very upset with you if you don't do your job, which is why it's incredibly important on the CICs to get all of those documents up front. Get them in MLS, get tucked away. If you want to hold them and be the bearer of them, that's totally fine. I say put them in MLS and let people have them because they're public record anyway. Okay.
Here's
Okay.
the other piece with that 10 days is it can start before your offer is accepted. If you get that receipt and all of the documents to your buyer before the offer is accepted, that 10-day period starts before the offer is accepted, which is fine for any buyers who want to go through it. Most buyers want to go through it before they put in their offer. But just keep in mind, it's not only after you get the purchase agreement together, it can be before as well.
Yeah, good clarity on that. I appreciate that. Because that's true. We can do that. That timeline can start whenever, which is great. Well, that's the wrong thing I'm sharing. Too many things to share with you. There you go. Okay. Common interest communities. So there's that one. All right. Couple new forms. FinCEN, because we had the form created and then it rolled back. So we have the form. Congrats, it's there if you want it. There's no requirement anymore on that until I'm sure the legislative body changes hands, and then I'm sure it will come back into existence. So for now, just know the form is there. You don't need to do anything with it. The state came out with a referral agreement because that's what they do, and that's totally fine. So they came out with a referral agreement. We have our own. I would tell you just use ours because it has all the info that we need to count for IPA and for proper tracking. Okay. The additional signatures form, was for the PA, if you remember that one, and lo and behold, it got used a bunch. So guess what everybody wanted? The listing contract, the buyer rep, the facilitator agreement all have an additional signature page that you can now add to it. So it's a pretty easy one to do. The new big one that is really coming into play is solar power. So there is a new disclosure that is the solar power disclosure. Because a lot more homes are having solar on them, it's important to understand them. Now, I will say, if you list a home with solar, please call me or talk to somebody that actually has experience with this, because there are sometimes there are secondary liens. There is non-assigned debt, meaning the cost to input them could be on a payment plan and it's tied to the property, but it's not recorded. Therefore, it's not really tied to the seller. It's a whole messy thing you got to understand. You need to understand what's the agreement with the power company for the sellback, what's the ratio, who gets the billing. There's a lot of components that go into that if you start selling anything with solar panels. And some people are just like, I don't know, I put 3 on my roof. Okay, that's fine, but we have a lot of questions that we need to understand in this thing. So if you haven't done it, just make sure that you ask questions along the way. Here's my absolute new favorite form. This one I have been begging for, which I'm really excited about. How many of you found an opportunity where you know something to be true about a property, but now all of a sudden the seller is like, well, I don't really know that that's a big deal. And you're like, oh, time out. That is a big deal. This now gives you the option. There is a dedicated form for you as an agent to disclose a material fact. Again, remember, a material fact is anything that can adversely affect a normal purchaser's use and enjoyment of the property. If you are in doubt or you are questioning, I wonder if this will affect a normal purchaser's use and enjoyment of a property. The answer is yes. Put it on the friggin' form. Protect yourself. Make sure you are covered. Don't try to be the hero. This form is going to be very important for you. So when in doubt, use it. And if you have questions, call your MD. You can call me. I will happily talk to you about this. It'll be a great time because most of the time I'm going to say, if you're even calling me about this, the answer is put it on the form. Okay. Well, I saw this property and it had massive water in the basement and the agent didn't say anything about it. Well, okay. If you were there and you knows there's massive water in the property, maybe you should say something, right? And if nobody's going to disclose it, do text messages count? Sure. Do emails count? Sure. This is better. This holds up in court and it's a lot easier for us to hang on to. So again, you have to disclose whether the seller does or not. And I don't care if you're on the buy side or the sell side of the transaction. This is the form that you want to be able to use. Any questions on this one? This is new. And this is the one form I think is actually worth our time to have a conversation about. So any questions on this one?
Not a question, but just a note, just so you guys know, the seller does not sign this form. It is just the licensee, whatever licensee is disclosing the material fact, and the buyers. That's it. Okay. So if your seller refuses to disclose something, this is the form that you use. If somebody else's seller refuses to disclose something. Now, if you are not a party to the transaction, this should be self-explanatory, but just bear with me. If you are not a party to the transaction, but you have a material fact about the property that's being sold, but you're not a party to it, you're not an agent on the list or sell side, you do not have to use this form. That's not on you. This is only for when you're a part of the transaction. I know some of us have bleeding hearts and we've listed a property before. We know there's material facts that aren't being disclosed, and we feel like we need to reach out to the agent or the buyer who is on the other side. It's not our job at that point.
Well said. Okay. Coming back, doing all the fun things here. Here we go. New forms. Okay. And then a couple reminders for you guys too. We've been talking a little bit about earnest money, and we've had some issues with the postal system, believe it or not, which is totally fine. But this is the opportunity that you have to just be reminded. Earnest money by the contract unless you agree to otherwise. But you can always amend the timeline in the PAs, North Dakota or Minnesota. You have all the time in the world. We can submit it. But the standard default is 2 days, 48 hours from final acceptance. Remember, timeline starts the next day. You have in order to get that earnest money delivered, okay, to wherever it's going to go. And that's as specified. fine, right? Title company or usually the listing brokerage. Either one's fine. But make sure that you have that. If you need more time, seller's out of town, they're traveling, they're on a holiday, totally fine. Put it in the other section and update that timeline window. It's totally fine to do so. I advocated for a line instead of 2 days, but the Twin Cities agents all yelled at me and said, "Nah, 2 days is fine." And I'm like, "That's cool for you. The rest of us in the state sometimes need a little bit more than 2 days." I lost, which is fine. But feel free. By the way, committees opened up for 2027. I saw the committee applications opened up for the Minnesota side. So if you want to get on the forums committee, feel free. It's super fun. Or go on pro standards because that's a riot and a half for the record. Anyway, so trust funds is again the other way. If you're when you're doing trust funds too, we've had a couple of whoopsies, and other agents have made whoopsies because you're going too fast, and you're not checking the right side of the detail, right? Because the problem, this is a user interface issue, right? You will see that the first option is the buyer's broker, not the listing brokerage. And our default for the Minnesota and North Dakota form says the listing brokerage. So like these should be switched in my opinion, from a UI perspective, because most people just choose the first one, but not the one that the contract actually specifies. So there's a little bit there that you want to play with. It's not a big deal. But when money goes to a wrong place, Darcy has a lot of extra work to do. And soon Jenny's going to have a lot of extra work to do. So just please be nice to our team and choose the right box.
And
Gentle
here,
reminder.
yeah, here's the other thing. If you do choose the wrong box and you accidentally click buyer's broker, the agent on the other side, and the earnest money goes there, that's fine, but you have to amend the purchase agreement to reflect that. So that if
Yeah.
somebody jumps into your file, they know where the earnest money is at some point. So if you do put the earnest money at some place where it shouldn't be, technically, make sure you amend that purchase agreement. You turn in that amendment. Mhm. Darcy, was there anything else that we're missing from that reminder?
Um, no, just some brokerages don't have trust funds. So when you get in there, I think it only gives us as an option to hold the money, even if you're on the buyer's side. So just pay attention
Yeah.
to that and don't just click whatever. You have to actually read it to see who's holding it.
Good point. Ashley, do you have a question?
As a buyer's agent, be due diligent or do your due diligence. Make sure your buyer does it. It shouldn't be on the listing agent to continually to follow up. Just as if you are the buyer's agent, double check that that's been done.
Mm-hmm.
That is your job.
And you get emails, you get notified. Even as a listing side, you still get notification when it's deposited. And I like to watch for those and be like, "Can you make sure my money shows up, honey?" And that's the way we handle that. So, all right. All right, KT.
Mm. So in July, we did an AI visibility mastermind where we talked about how people are searching for professionals on AI from now on. And so we had a really great conversation about it. It's on our Learning YouTube page if you want to go and look at it. But what we did on top of that was we put together an AI visibility audit that you can run for your business. So you log into Remy, you click the little button that says AI visibility audit. And what Remy's going to do, it's going to look at all of your profiles online, all of them, even the ones that you've forgotten about. Okay. And it's going to give you a ranking, how well you're doing, and what you can do to make it better. And then now a lot of our agents in July were like, this is a fall project, which is just fine. But it's there for you to use at any time. It's been pretty cool for people to see where they actually show up in AI visibility and making sure that they're showing up on search results. We had a lot of conversation in the mastermind about how agents who they weren't even sure were still in business were showing up as first on who's the best real estate agent in whatever city. Um, and so we want to make sure that we're first. We don't want anybody else to be first. We want to be first. This is a great way to do that.
Ranger Nation, I'm going to take.
Hmm Okay. Remy has also infected our websites. So we've uploaded a whole bunch of information about the areas that we sell in. So when your buyer has questions about the areas, they can chat with us directly on Remy. Remy can also capture those leads if those people who are chatting with Remy on our websites want more information, are ready to be contacted by an agent. I will get notified and then I'll send it to the appropriate office as a lead. But Remy is super helpful. So it can do comparison analysis, it can do area analysis. Like we get asked all the time in our Park Rapids office, like what's the difference between the Brainerd Lakes area, the Detroit Lakes area, and the Park Rapids Lakes area. And Remy has all of that information ready to go. Mm-hmm. That's kind of cool. I love that. If you're using it or your clients are using it and they want more information that Remy can't quite give it, let me know. I can always add more stuff to Remy's Knowledge Center. Then, because of the forms changes and that more of you are selling properties that are in common interest communities, in August, we're going to do our training, which is next Tuesday, the 11th. On common interest communities. We're going to talk about all of the forms needed. We're going to talk about what the difference is between the forms, all of the timelines, and any other wonderful things you can think of for common interest communities. How many of you have sold a property in a common interest community this year? Yeah, most of you guys. Well, most of you guys who are on camera, at least. Yeah. It can be I mean, I say city homes are the easiest because you have one disclosure packet, a listing contract, and agency, right? Common interest communities, your files are thick. There's lots of documents needed with that. And it's our job to make sure everybody gets it. Perfect. Then our masterminds. We're going to talk about scammers. And how we can determine whether or not the text messages we get, the calls we get, the emails we get are a scammer or a client. And I want this to be a conversation because I know everybody's dealt with this at one point or another. And I'll give you some tips and tricks on how you can try to figure out if it's a scammer or a real client. Um, and we'll do that on the third Wednesday, which is August 19th at 9 a.m. So come with your scammer stories because I love them. And we're going to go into some wonderful stats. And then we'll wrap it up real quick. So I wanted to show you guys a long-term view of months supply of inventory, right? So this is that how many homes we have on the market per month. And so when we're between the 4 and 6 month range, we're in a balanced market. We've been in a seller's market for a long time, which is under that four. But you can see over this 10-year period where we have been in a buyer's market, right? 2016, 17, 18, and then it dipped significantly into that 2021, 2022. You wonder why you were writing a million offers and only four of them got accepted. That would be why, because the inventory wasn't there and the buyers were there. But you can see we're now coming up out of that dip. We haven't quite got to the seller's market completely. The Alexandria and Sauk Center area have kind of leveled off just under a balanced market. The Crosby area is still ticking up into a buyer or into a balanced market. We are nowhere near getting to a buyer's market in any of ours, except for the next slide, which is our Park Rapids, Fargo, West Fargo, and Moorhead area. Now you can see Park Rapids and Moorhead are down at the bottom there in blue and purple. And Fargo and West Fargo have this huge uptick and then a downtick. Most of that is because Fargo and West Fargo joined North Star MLS. just recently within that time frame. And so the data that was associated with them is just now coming into the system. We don't have past data from those. So really, you can look at the Moorhead line, you can look at the Park Rapids line. Those are both in still in sellers markets, but getting closer to those buyers markets. Same type of thing, guys. We're slowly getting there, but the market is really, it's leveled off. It took a big dip into a seller's market and it's leveling off just below the balanced market. We've seen that for probably a year now. And then I wanted to talk to you guys about insurance. How many of you have been messed up by homeowners insurance lately? How many of you have had homeowners insurance go up or not claim something? Or you have to up your deductible because you can't afford the monthly payment for the insurance anymore. Um, you are not alone. This is a 20-year look on mortgage payments, which is your principal and interest, which is that light blue, your taxes, which is that dark blue, which you can see has also grown a little bit, and then insurance payments, which is that dark green. And if you look 10 years ago, even that amount that was your insurance was very small, and now it's grown significantly. And this is for Minnesota in particular, but this is across the country. It's becoming a big problem. We are having buyers who are not able to buy a property because the insurance cost is kicking them out of being able to get financing. Not only that, how many people have had to deal with roof issues because the insurance company will not insure the property because the roof is too old. Barb has, yep. We had a couple agents in Park Rapids deal with the same thing. You should be prepping your sellers for this conversation. If the roof is over 20 years old, there's a possibility, depending on the buyer's insurance, that the buyer may not be able to buy the property unless we do something with the roof. So keep that in mind. We can go to the next one. Please and thank you. So homeowners insurance have increased 71% since 2020. 71%. That is a huge problem. A lot of this, I'm sure that we know, right, is that there's extreme weather events happening that are causing more claims to happen that then pushes the cost up. Construction inflation and rising material costs then push insurance up because they're paying more for these things that they need to fix. Okay. And then labor shortages in the construction industry are all factors increasing this insurance amount. And like I said, it's becoming an affordability issue for our home buyers, which is a problem. But there's good news. You can go to the next one. Minnesota does have a grant program that is available. They are taking beginning applications right now. The grant program is not fully funded yet. They're only limiting it to 4 counties at the moment. Crow Wing County, Crosby, I'm looking at you, is one of them. But this is to help homeowners get a new roof. Okay. And it has to be in the fortified roofing standard. If you want to know any more information about this, you go ahead and go to that QR code. Um, Insurance discounts for this are mandated by Minnesota statute. And so as soon as they get this grant program up and running and actually going, it might be very helpful for your clients. And our Crosby office, you're going to have to let me know if any of your clients use this program come the first of the year and how that goes for them.
I was just going to ask they're thinking of launching it in next year then? Yeah. Program is targeted at an early 27. Okay, thanks.
Yep. So early 2027, it is funded and they're just getting applications together, determining what committees, who's handling it, all of those wonderful bureaucracy things. So their launch should be early 2027. Okay. Here's the other piece about insurance costs. And I don't usually talk about RPAC. RPAC is the Realtors Political Action Committee, right? These are our people that our dues pay for, well, part of our dues. And then not our dues at all, Brandon?
Not your dues. Nope. So this is a great reason. I'll just give a slight correction here. So this is your RPAC contribution. We ask that you do a minimum of $15. I'm a major investor because I believe in RPAC, which means I give them $1,000 a year to support some of this stuff. So some of the stuff they've done, is their Minnesota and North Dakota, they've kept sales tax off of commissions, right? They're doing things for, they're lobbying on our behalf to get some of the bureaucratic red tape out of new construction currently, right? They're testifying all the time. This is a no-brainer in my opinion that you should, for $15, it's a that's how you become an active participant. I would highly encourage you to at least do 50. Like in the nicest way, $50 a year to have some investment in there. Like we have two full-time staffers at the state level who their sole job is to just come around and advocate for us. And this is a big issue, as Katie mentioned, that they've been pushing to try to help homeowners with because it's a massive issue. And with all the storms and everything we've had in the recent years, and some of those natural disasters, it's been a really big problem, and that's one of the ways that we're doing this. And so that's how you can handle that. So just a slight adjustment.
Nope, I appreciate that big time. RPAC is really important for our industry. Whether it's the Minnesota one or the national one, they are the ones who have the seat at the table with the legislators who are making these laws that we whine about later. And I saw Barb smile. Yes. And so if you can give, you should give. But what they have been doing is talking about insurance with everybody that they can get their hands on. And they've been doing a very good job about talking about insurance and what the state can do because they not only bring the problem to the legislators, they also bring a solution. Okay. They don't just sit there and whine. They also give legislators multiple solutions to be able to come together across the aisle to be able to make a difference. And these will make a difference in your clients' lives at the end of the day. But if you go to the next one, Brandon, if you want to donate, this is our Minnesota RPAC team. If you want to donate or learn more, you can get those QR codes and go do that. Our Minnesota RPAC have been fantastic, and their website is huge. They also, the next one's the North Dakota RPAC. Shayla Newgard is your North Dakota RPAC person. And so if you want to learn more about her and her systems, go ahead and scan that QR code. They want your stories. If you have insurance stories, if you have law stories that have to do with your client not being able to get a house or a bunch of hoops you had to jump through, they want those so they can bring them to the legislator as proof that things are happening that needs to be addressed. So if you have any stories, you can email them to me. I'll get them off. Otherwise, all of their information is on their websites, on their QR codes there. And you can send it directly to them. Take the time to send those issues. Scammers in particular is something that's on their radar. Unfortunately, we don't have a fix for scammers at the moment. But it's on their radar as well. So if you have stories, send it to them. Okay.
Okay. Last little updates for you here, making sure excuse me, we're talking about the Facebook group as just another spot to kind of drop connections, referrals, any kind of funny things that you maybe have going on. I do want to remind you of the link tree as well. We continue to update this with all the great things that you maybe need, right? So I would recommend you have this bookmarked inside of that space. So before we depart here, anybody have anything else they want to add? Anybody? Questions, comments, concerns? Anything I didn't cover, maybe? Okay, seeing none, then we're gonna let it go. All right, team. I will say congratulations. You made it to August. We're almost on the home stretch. So let's yeah, let's keep moving forward. If you got questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, hopefully we will see you on some of the calls in the future. Appreciate you all. And as always, let's go have some fun impacting lives through real estate. Bless you all. You're dismissed.
Hey,
Thank
Brandon.
you.
Brandon,
Yes.
I didn't get to see any pictures of me on the tractor. Does Abby still have those on her phone?
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll get those sent out. If
Yeah,
you missed the
get
boat cruise, you missed the boat cruise. Let me tell you. So I'll see what I can find for you, Vern. All right.
it.
All
See
right.
ya.
See you guys.